Okay, we're back for part 2 of chapter 12, Party Hardy. As I watched my classmates rush for their chairs, I realized that I had an excellent hamster eye view of the center ring. There was no need to plan an escape after all. Once everybody settled down, Aldo took center stage and waved his hat dramatically. Ladies and gentlemen, get ready to be dazzled by the one, the only, the amazing Magic Mitch. Amazing Magic Mitch turned out to be a tall, skinny man wearing a top hat. His long blonde hair touched his shoulders, and he had an oversized black jacket with a red and white striped t-shirt on, and wore a huge red-rimmed glasses. Aldo applauded and the rest of the audience joined in. Magic Mitch carried a table in one hand and a suitcase in the other. He put the suitcase on the table and pulled out a large black wand. Now I understood. Amazing Magic Mitch was a magician. I had heard about magic shows before, but I had never seen one before. My whiskers started to quiver as the act began. He talked the whole time he performed his act. Talk, talk, talk. First, he started out with a card trick. He brought AJ out of the audience and asked him to pick a card, memorize it, and return it to the deck. Then the magician mixed up the cards and had AJ pick out another card. The card AJ selected this time happened to be the exact card he had picked the first time. Think it's a trick deck? Asked the musician. Yes, AJ answered. So Magic Mitch called Tabitha out of the audience and he asked her and AJ to check the deck of cards to see that everything was normal. It was. Then Tabitha had to pick a card and memorize it. When Tabitha picked another card from the deck, you won't believe it, it was the exact same card she had picked before. Everybody applauded except me. This guy seemed a little too crafty for me. I decided to keep a close eye on him. Magic Mitch asked if he could borrow a coin from somebody. Marty volunteered with a quarter he had in his pocket. Imagine a grown-up taking a coin from a kid. Mitch rolled the coin up into the handkerchief and it disappeared completely right before our eyes. He shook out the handkerchief, but the quarter was gone. Marty gasped. Somebody should have warned Magic Mitch not to make Mean Bean mad. The magician leaned over and asked, "What's that in your ear?" And he reached out to touch Marty's ear and produced a quarter, the same one that Marty had given him. Now I ask you, how can a coin disappear into thin air and then turn up in somebody's ear? This guy was cheating, cheating, cheating. Next, Magic Mike had the nerve to ask if the birthday boy had gotten any paper money for his birthday. Richie came up and gave the magician a brand new dollar bill. You wouldn't believe what Magic Mitch did with that dollar bill. He folded it all up, took out a pair of scissors, and cut it into small pieces. That's the rudest thing I've ever seen. Even Og would do something like that. Richie's eyes were practically popping out of his head as Magic Mitch took the pieces of the dollar, put them in his fist, waved a magic wand. Nothing happened. I forgot to say the magic words, he exclaimed. Eeny, meeny, miny, mo, you will see the money grow. This time when he opened his hand, the dollar bill was back, all in one piece. Thank goodness, or I think Richie would have been pretty angry. Magic Mitch asked Saya and Mandy to help him with a trick where he cut up a rope and did some hocus pocus and returned it to one piece. And Art helped him make a glass of water disappear under a handkerchief. I mean a whole glass of water. I would not invite this man into my house for dinner, I can tell you. Everybody seemed to like the show, though, and they gasped and clapped at everything he did. Finally, he announced the big moment. Ladies and gentlemen, at this point in the show, I usually make a rabbit appear out of my hat. But today, my rabbit is on strike. So I'm going to borrow your class hamster for this amazing trick. It took me a few seconds to realize that the class hamster was, gulp, me. Richie came over to my cage and gently picked me up, cupping me in his hands. "Don't be scared, Humphrey. It's only a trick," he whispered. I knew that, but I didn't want to be cut up into pieces or disappear into thin air. No wonder the rabbit went on strike. Since Humphrey is already here and I can't pull him out of my hat, so instead I'm going to make him disappear into my hat. Magic Mitch first held his hat upside down and let everyone who wanted to come up and inspect it. Everyone agreed it appeared to be an ordinary hat. Mitch took me from Richie and put me in the hat, and it was dark, dark, dark inside. And I have to admit, I don't like dark places. As he dropped me down, he pulled something with his finger, and I dropped it into a secret compartment at the top of my hat. A false bottom came over my head, and I was trapped in a dark, scary place. I could hear Magic Mitch's muffled voice saying, "Abracadabra, Humphrey dear, I will make you disappear." Whoa! The magician turned the hat all the way over. Now I was laying on my back, feeling a little seasick. "Humphrey, where are you?" Magic Mitch called out. He shook the hat to show that it was empty, except it wasn't. "Ooh," I squealed weakly as I bounced up and down and trapped the stuff in the stuffy cave. I guess nobody heard me, not even Magic Mitch. I could hear the sounds of kids gasping and shuffling around in their seats. "Where's Humphrey?" I asked. I heard AJ ask. "Beats me," said Magic Mitch. He turned the hat around and put it on his head. "Want to see another trick?" "Bring back Humphrey," Richie said in a voice as loud as AJ. "Humphrey, who?" the magician said, and he started to do another trick. I couldn't see what he was doing since it was completely dark. Well, Magic Mitch wasn't going to do anything about getting me out of that hat. I was going to do something for myself. When I squinted my eyes, I could see a pinpoint of light above me. If I could see light, there must be an opening there. I crouched in a little space and reached up with my paws. I pushed and I scratched and I pushed some more. I may be small, but I'm strong for a hamster. I could hear Magic Mitch repeating, "Now you see it, now you don't. Which shell has the P under it?" "Bring back Humphrey," more voices shouted, but Mitch ignored them. Now I could see a lot more light. The top of the hat was opening from all my pushing. There was a space barely big enough for me to squeeze through. I pushed myself up with all my might and popped right out of the top of the hat. I could see my friends from room 26, Richie's relatives, and also Marty Bean all staring at me. Magic Mitch kept going on, even though nobody paid attention to him. There was giggling and pointing and nudging and nodding, and then the giggling turned to chuckling, chortling, laughing, and howling. "Now you see it, now you don't." Mitch sounded confused. "Folks, are you paying attention?" I could hear my name being whispered around. I stood up very tall as everyone stared at me. "Greetings, one and all," I squeaked as loudly as I could. This produced shrieks of laughter as I took a bow. The audience members began to shout my name. They stamped their feet and clapped their hands as they chanted, "Humphrey, Humphrey, Humphrey." "Okay," the magician sounded quite annoyed. "I'll bring him back." He took off his hat, and there I was, eyeball to eyeball with Magic Mitch. He looked very pale. "What are you doing? You ruined my whole show." "It's my show now," I squeaked to him. "Next time I'm bringing the rabbit," he said glumly. Nobody else heard him because all my friends continued to stamp, stomp, and cheer. Aldo quickly entered the ring and said, "Let's have a round of applause for amazing Magic Mitch." Magic Mitch waved his magic hat. which now had a hole in the top, and he scurried away from Richie's basement as fast as he could. The crowd kept applauding and cheering. I know they were cheering for me. The poem, the poem at the bottom is, "A friend is a present you give yourself." Robert Louis Stevenson, a Scottish novelist and poet. And isn't that true? Friends are nice gifts that we have in our life. All right? Well, I hope you enjoyed chapter 12. Penelope looks like she fell asleep during it, and Leo did too. Leo, say hi, bye. And Bentley, he's over here sleeping. We'll see you later. Bye-bye.